The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to today's role play session with your hosts, James McDonald and Craig Proctor.
Well, thank you very much, Andrea. And I'd like to start by welcoming our participants to our role play session. This is our favorite time of the week, isn't it? We're hoping that we've got lots of volunteers who want to do some role playing with us. We'll obviously do as many as time permits here. But I also want to remind you that any of your follow-up related questions you can ask today as well. Whether you want to type them into the chat or whether you have a working mic and want to actually have a discussion with us. But what you've realized by now, regardless of what sort of where your progress lies in the system, is that the follow-up really is the ball game. And specifically, when you are speaking on the phone with a prospect, determining their timing and motivation, and ultimately getting face-to-face appointments booked is the ball game. If you're really, really good at that, everything else falls into place. You can solve any other challenge you're having. That is really the ball game, and that's why we put so much emphasis on coming on these webinars, working on the universal script, becoming really good at it. There were a couple things that came up over the last week. For some of you that were newer, that are getting your feet wet with the universal script, and maybe you still have a bit of a phone fear, maybe from years of cold calling and rejection and things like that, your mindset still, has that sort of that idea embedded that when you pick up the phone, you're going to be calling and speaking to somebody that doesn't want to talk to you. And so we sort of talked about this, and I just want to reiterate that, for those that are slowly getting over that. There are a couple of really important points that you always need to bear in mind when you're making these calls, if that's something that you're dealing with here that is challenging you. And the first is this: remember this, you are only ever going to follow up with somebody that has initiated your phone call by requesting information from you. That is a huge difference. When you cold call, you are calling because you want something from them. In this instance, we are only calling a prospect because they wanted something from us. It is the opposite. And that has to be deeply embedded in your mind so that when you pick up the phone, you can pick it up with confidence, knowing you're not bothering anybody that didn't initiate the phone call by requesting information from you first. Now, I'll even go one step further. The mindset that you want to have to get over your fear of picking up the phone and breaking through that old paradigm is understanding that the purpose of this phone call isn't to book an appointment. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to determine their timing and motivation. If you've determined their timing and motivation, you've done a good, successful job with the call. Based on that timing and motivation, you're going to recommend an action. And maybe it would be appropriate for that action to be to book an appointment, but maybe it would be to follow up with them. Maybe it would be to put them on your newsletter. Maybe it would be to wish them a good day. But if you go into every call thinking, okay, I've got to ask this person for an appointment, you're putting all of this undue pressure on yourself, and you've missed the point. That isn't the reason you're picking up the phone. The reason you're picking up the phone is because, number one, the premise to the prospect is that they requested information from you. You are calling up as a courtesy to let them know you received their request for information. It's easier to have a conversation with somebody about real estate who just said thank you. So that's number one. Number two, mindset. You're trying to determine timing and motivation. You're not trying to book an appointment. Book an appointment if it's appropriate to do so. And if it is, great, and if it isn't, then follow up with them. But that takes the pressure off that, this has to be some, pressure-filled phone call. All that will happen then is you'll procrastinate and you'll start squirreling away leads. As many of you, privately tell us, you've got dozens, if not hundreds of leads that you've never ever called because of this problem, and we want you to break through it. And the sooner you do, the better. So anyway, we're going to work on that today, and I know that Craig has joined us as well. Good morning, Craig.
Good morning, Mr. McDonald.
There he is.
How you doing?
I'm very well. So we've got myself and Craig and Andrea here, and we're ready to go and take as many volunteers as time permits, or as I said earlier, any questions related to follow-up.
Let's do it.
Okay, we have lots of hands raised. We have some chat requests, so if you haven't done so already, go ahead and raise your hand or write in the chat box, the question box, that you'd like to role play or any questions you have or comments about the follow-up system. Our first guest, Ariel Ruiz, your line is open.
Good morning, Greg. Good morning, James. How are you?
Good morning.
Excellent.
Great, great. So I'd like to go ahead and do the role play for a buyer, please.
Okay, James, you're going to be the buyer.
All right, ring, ring. Hello.
Hello, is this James?
Yeah, who's this?
Hi, James. This is Ariel with Real Estate Salesforce. The reason for my call it's because I received your request for information that you wanted, and I popped it in the mail for you. Is that okay?
What information was that?
I received your request yesterday for the distress sales for properties in the area, and I was following up with you because I wanted to follow up and say, I had sent that information for you. Is that okay?
Oh, I got you. Okay. Yeah, I'll check my. Did you say you mailed it to me, or you?
Yeah, I actually mailed it to you.
Oh, you mailed it. Okay, I haven't checked the mail today, so. Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
Are you folks planning on making a move in the next 3 to 6 months, Mr. James?
Oh, maybe. We're just thinking about it.
Do you currently own or rent at the present time?
No, we rent.
You rent, okay. And since you're planning to move in the next 3 to 6 months, when would you be planning to move in the area, in or out of the area?
Well, we're just thinking about it.
Just thinking about it, okay.
No, we're not planning. Like, we're just thinking about it. Yeah, I was just looking.
You were just looking. Okay. Would you like for me to go ahead and send you my new Market Watch newsletter? And this will keep you in touch with what's happening on the marketplace?
Yeah, sure. Is it free?
Yes, it's absolutely free. It's no cost to you, and you have no obligations whatsoever.
Yeah, go ahead, knock yourself out.
Do you have a realtor when the time is right to be able to do your search?
No. No, we don't know any realtors.
You don't. Would you be interested in interviewing with me so that I can sit down with you and take a look at what your exact criteria is and be able to get specific homes that match your criteria?
Yeah, maybe down the road a little bit. Yeah, in a few months we'll be ready.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and place the information on the Marcus News Watch for you, and I'll follow up with you in about 3 to 6 months.
Excellent. Okay, listen. Here's the thing. The language in the universal script is really important, and none of it is there by accident. So here's what I want you to work on. You got to understand there's a difference between asking a question like this. Hey, Ariel, where are you moving? And, hey, Ariel, if you were to make a move, would you be staying here locally or might you be moving out of the area? The words that come out of your mouth go into my brain and they paint a mental picture that either is threatening or not. And so the way you ask the question is absolutely critical if you're going to have a conversation with the prospect where they're not just shutting you down at every turn. So I really want you to work on that. Okay, 2 things you need to work on. 1, in the introduction, be very concise and clear about who you are, why you're calling. Why you're calling is because they requested a list of distress sales, and you're calling to let them know you prepared and sent that information. Is that okay? You have to be really clear and concise, because if the prospect here's what you're saying, they're going to say, "Oh yeah, yes, thank you." That changes everything. Now their guard is let down. They understand why you're calling. They remember the information they requested. You've done something nice for them. They say thank you. But now when you're asking these probing conversational questions, really ask the questions the way that they were designed. We can't just wing it and say, where are you moving? Or, if the questions are remotely threatening, the prospect will just shut down. And then we get nowhere with everybody. So I want you to be really careful of that moving forward. Ask the questions exactly the way that they're written. Now, that doesn't mean you can't make them conversational, but you've got to ask them in that non-threatening way. You'll notice that a lot of them are hypothetical. In other words, they start off saying, if you were to make a move, as opposed to, you are moving, where is it? Where are you moving? The prospect just closes off and shuts down, and we get nowhere with everybody. So that language was developed over many, many years because it works. So I want you to really focus on that, and I think you'll see big improvements.
Yeah, I thank you for that. The criticism, I think that very well is constructive criticism. Anyways, I've been practicing with my partner, which is also part of your guys' program, and to be honest with you, I was a little bit nervous talking to you guys.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing too, is that I do understand that it's a little nerve-wracking doing it, volunteering here on Thursdays. So I'll take that into account as well. But these are some things that you can work on, and you'll start to notice that your conversations with your prospects become easier.
Okay, thank you for the recommendation, James.
You're very welcome.
Our next guest is Daniel Pilson. Your line is now open.
Hi.
Hi, Daniel.
Hi. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you today?
Okay. I guess I'm happy to be I'm happy to be up and running.
All right, good stuff. How are you making out with the lead conversion?
Well, excellent question. Thank you for asking. I'm making out well. The only thing I'm having basically in my marketplace is I'm actually advertising two campaigns. One is move up buyer and one is distress sales. And no one seems to, even though I put a minimum of 400K and 750K for move up, I'm getting, unfortunately, a lot of my buyers are not qualified. They just don't meet the threshold to make the minimum. Our marketplace here is significant, pretty high. And
so are you probing a little bit with them and finding out how they arrived at whatever price range they're looking at? Like how did they arrive at that price range?
Many of them are just this is my first contact, so they really haven't been looking. They're just considering considering down the road to basically buy something, but they haven't really even thought about too much about what they need and what they can afford. So
because that's one thing is that we can't make the assumption, oh, they're looking for something in a price range that doesn't exist, or they're too, if they've not taken the steps to get pre-qualified, then they're just guessing anyway. It really doesn't mean anything. If you really wanted to know, then when they're a little closer to doing something, you would get them in touch with your trusted mortgage affiliate and get them pre-qualified. And then we would know. And a lot of times, a lot of those prospects that you think are unrealistic or are looking in a lower price point might in fact be more serious bona fide buyers.
Right. I totally agree. And sometimes I have that conversation, and I have done that. That thing of getting in contact with my mortgage specialist. And unfortunately, they just, unfortunately, they weren't qualified. So I'm getting a reasonable amount of leads, not able to get them at all on the phone, even though I do really religious follow-up, because sometimes they won't answer their phone when it's a cell phone. And I'm not on their contact. But barring even that, I'm hoping that I'm getting a little smoother. But I'm hoping that in the future I'll have more qualified prospects, some who will actually have the wherewithal.
Right. Well, let's do this. Let's differentiate these two things. Okay. First of all, as far as the leads themselves, we're going to focus on lead generation tomorrow. So that'll be our marketing session, our ad clinic session tomorrow, where we're going to look at not just generating leads, but who it is you're generating. So at least you're following up with the kinds of prospects that you might actually like to convert into clients. That's sort of a separate problem. Today, let's focus on what you would say to them when you're following up with them having generated them. So let's do a little role play. Now, let's just suppose that I did respond to a distress sale, and I'm a first-time buyer. Okay, and I've not been pre-qualified, but I'm considering it. I'm looking. Your ad was appealing. Obviously, to respond to your ad, I had to have been looking for real estate, or I never would have saw your ad in the first place. So you're following up with me now. So ring, hello?
Yeah, hi. Is James there?
Yeah, who's this?
Yeah, I'm Dan Pilson with Remax, and the reason I'm calling is I received your request on my website for the list of Torrance distress sales, and I did provide that and gave you full access. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Are you folks planning to make a move in the next 3 to 6 months?
Well, we're kind of hoping to. We're just early in the process, and we're just kind of looking around and getting our feet wet a bit.
Do you currently rent, or do you own?
Yeah, no, we're renting.
Okay. And are you planning on staying in the area or moving out?
Well, we're looking around Torrance.
Okay. And if you were to move, when do you think that might be?
Well, as I said, we're just sort of getting our feet wet, so it would be sort of a project over the next 6 months to a year kind of thing.
And do you have a realtor to help you when the time is right?
Not really. I know that our bank has a recommended realtor that, I don't know, apparently they'll give you some kind of deal or something like that, but we've not met them or anything like that. So, no, we don't. We're not there yet.
Okay. So you think you might be further, 6 months, or is it possible that you could move earlier than 6 months?
Well, I suppose it's possible, but it's unlikely. I mean,
Okay.
we're just just starting this process. We're getting our finances in order, and so it's going to be a process that might take a little bit. I don't want you thinking that we're going out to buy a house today.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, I have a market news or watch newsletter, which would be something I can send free, just give you updates on what's happening in the real estate marketplace, and just give you information. Would you be interested in that?
Sure.
Okay. And what I'll do is I'll send that out to you, a little bit of information with that, and then would it be okay if I followed up, say, in maybe a certain time? What would be a good time for me to, say, give you a call back?
Why don't maybe give us a call in a month or two, and let's see where we're at that point. And,
okay.
Because I've been having discussions and a couple meetings with our bank, and so I'll know more, in the next month or so.
Okay. Well, that's great. Okay, so I'll do that, and I'll be sending you the newsletter, and giving you'll have good information there, and we'll talk in a little bit in about a month or so. So it's great speaking with you, James, and have a good day.
Okay, you too. Okay, so couple things here that I want to focus on, and the first one is this: when you are engaged in your probing questions with your prospect, it's so critical that you listen to what the prospect is saying. Now, the problem is when you're familiarizing yourself with the universal callback script and you haven't yet mastered it fully, you're focused on what you are going to say next more than you're focused on what the prospect is responding to your questions. So, and why that's critical is the prospect might come out and say something like this: well, I've been speaking with my bank, or there's a realtor that's recommended by my bank. In other words, what your brain should pick up on when you hear that is, okay, so wait a minute, have you been pre-qualified? Have you gone to the bank to discuss getting a home loan? Because remember, if the purpose of this call is to determine timing and motivation, here's my question. Does it help you determine how motivated I am if I've gone to the bank to talk to them about getting a mortgage? Does that speak to my level of motivation? Yes. Yeah. Big time. Okay, but so you got to listen to those little things, and now you can probe. As soon as you hear that, immediately you're like, whoa, okay, so hang on a second. This person is obviously talking to their bank. It would beg the question, have you been pre-qualified for a mortgage, or is that something that you've been working on? But if you don't ask the question, you don't know. And it would speak to my motivation. Okay, now, here's another thing that I want to recommend. On occasion, you might want to ask a question that isn't in the universal script, an additional question that might help you. Like, for example, a question that you might want to ask in this case is something like this. You know, James, I noticed that you responded to my ad looking for homes for sale. You're obviously searching for homes for sale. How long or how else have you been looking for properties? Have you been going out to open houses or anything like that? Here's what you want to find out. Remember, the purpose is to find out how motivated I am. What if I said this? Oh yeah, for the last few weeks, my wife and I, we've been going out on weekends to open houses. Once in a while we'll call off a sign if we see a property that we think looks good. Does that speak to my motivation? If I said this, almost every day now I'm going on to Realtor.com and I'm really up to date on all of the property listings. Does that speak to my level of motivation? Here's why this is also important, is your buyer contract is for 6 months or 12 months. So if I'm in the process of looking for a property, if I'm actually doing things to look for, even if I don't intend on buying one or I can't buy one for months and months, if I'm actively looking for property, here's my question. Could you help me do it better than what I'm doing right now? And the answer is you absolutely could. So this is what we're probing to try to figure out, is if I'm actively looking for properties, if I'm going to open houses, if I'm looking online, combing the internet, looking at properties, if I'm spending my time doing that, well, you've got a better way. You can swoop in and say, look, I know you're not in a position where you're going to be buying something, over the next month or so. It might be down the road, but you are looking. Would you like me to automatically email you every day all of the properties that match exactly what you're looking for, including the hard-to-find great deals, so that you don't have to do these searches anymore? They'll just show up right in your email inbox immediately upon coming on the market, and that way you'd have immediate access and notification of those homes. It's free. There's no obligation. Would you like me to set you up on that? But you're asking that because the prospect has already told you, yeah, like I'm doing this now. Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so the point is, number one, we've got to, once in a while, when the prospect is answering our question and they give us a little bit of information, it kind of begs a little probing. But the other thing is, once in a while, it will be appropriate to ask an additional question because maybe the prospect didn't elaborate enough and you need to ask more. And a great question is, how have you been looking, or have you been looking for properties? I understand you're not in a position to buy something today, but have you been looking around? And then just listen to what the prospect tells you. It's going to speak to their level of motivation. And here's the danger. If they say that they go out to open houses and you say, I'll call you back in a month, when you call them back in a month, it is highly likely that they will have met another agent, and they might be very happy with that agent. And now you're going to try to take them away from an agent that they're really happy with. I'm not saying it's impossible, but you've just made it really difficult when it didn't need to be. You could have been that agent, right? So just consider those things. That was very, very well done, though. And, I obviously we're nitpicking here, and that's the whole point, is to be to look at the little details to help you improve.
Well, that's great, James. The other point, which is great, I totally, see that, have a, good view of what you just said. The other point is, let's just, if I had, so let's assume at this point that I've called, it's a month later, would I basically go back to the whole redo or revisit
the only change is in the introduction. You'd say, we had spoken a month ago. You'd requested access to properties on my website, and I've given you full access and set you up on my Market Watch newsletter. Are you still planning on making a move, or are you still considering making a move in the next 6 months or so? Listen, all you're doing is reiterating a little bit your conversation so that they know that they don't need to be guarded with you. They've already shared information with you.
I see. Right.
And I would call that prospect back in 3 weeks.
Okay.
I wouldn't give it that long.
Okay. Thank you.
Very, very well done. Thank you.
Our next guest is John Bothwell. Your line is open.
Hello, James.
Hello, John.
Hello, James. Can you hear me?
Would you like to role play with Mr. Proctor?
I will role
Craig,
play
are you there?
play with whomever. Hello?
Okay, let's do it. Do you want me to be a buyer or a seller prospect?
I would like you to be a buyer, and just know that I'm in Florida, and most of my buyers come from out of state.
Okay, then I'm going to be an out-of-state buyer looking to buy a home in Florida. How's that?
Fantastic. And by the way, have you been pre-approved?
Well, hang on. You haven't called me yet. We got to do this
I'm
properly.
I'm just having fun with you. Okay.
Okay. Ring, ring. Hello.
Hello, Craig. This is John Bothwell from Caldwell Banker Residential. Have I caught you at a good time?
Actually, this is Craig's wife.
You do have a deep voice. Is Craig available?
A lot of people say that. No, Craig is he's at work right now. How can I help you?
Well, Craig had asked for some information in reference to homes with pools in Punta Gorda, Florida, and I'm following up on that. And I was just checking to see if he had received the information I sent him. Are you going to be actively involved in the purchase of your Florida home?
Yeah, we've been talking about it. We've been, online looking at houses, and a couple of agents have been emailing us properties in Punta Gorda and in Charlotte.
Very interesting. And when do you folks plan on moving? In the next 3 to 6 months, possibly?
Yeah, there's no rush. I mean, obviously, when winter kicks in, we become more serious. But we go down every winter. We stay in Port Charlotte. We drive around Punta Gorda. So we would say we're looking at anywhere between, say, Sarasota and Fort Myers.
Good choices. Out of curiosity, when are you coming down this year?
We'll probably come down after Thanksgiving with everybody else.
So would that be in November, or would it be sometime in December?
Yeah, sometime in November.
Okay. So is there a particular area that you're looking at? We have the area called the Isles that's on the water, or are you looking more for something that's on a golf course?
We're not sure. We haven't narrowed it down. I would say to the north we would go as far as say Venice, and to the south as far as Fort Myers.
Very good. I emailed your husband a list of properties in the area. Should I also add you to the email list?
That'd be fantastic. Thank you.
May I have your email address, please?
And I give it to you.
Thank you. Well, with your permission, I will call back later tonight when I can talk to you and your husband together. In the meantime, I will send you the same list of properties that I sent him. When would be a good time for me to follow up tonight to make sure that I have sent you the right properties and you've received them?
Well, my husband will be home at 7 o'clock if you want to talk to him.
So would 7 or 8 o'clock be a better time to call him?
7 would be fine.
Very good. I'll call back at 7 o'clock. I appreciate your time. Do you have any questions for me?
Nope, that was great. Thanks for sending me the information. Okay, now a couple things here. I mentioned, John, that I was also getting emails from other agents. I don't remember you asking me if I was committed to any of those other agents.
No, in all honesty, Craig, you kind of threw me off on that one, and my brain started to scramble, so I went back to my script.
Okay, so I purposely did that. Now, sometimes, as we know, what I just did really happens, right, where you're calling for one spouse, but the other spouse answers. And it gets interesting. So I know as a male, if I was calling and a female had requested the information, and the husband answers the phone, he usually wants to know, well, who's this guy that's calling for my wife? So I try to get that out right away. Sometimes it's actually better if the other spouse, the spouse that didn't request the information, actually answers, because you'll get more out of the spouse and sometimes not. So let me explain both of those scenarios.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Yes.
That has happened to me, and that's exactly what happened. I collected more information from the other spouse than I did from the spouse that called.
Correct, because here's what happens. And everyone that's married, you kind of know this is true. So what happens sometimes if you get this spouse, so in this situation, the husband had requested the information, and I'm pretending to be the wife. I played ball with you, and sometimes the spouse that didn't request the information, here's what they're thinking. Well, gee, I knew that we were talking about buying a place in Florida, but I didn't know my husband had actually contacted an agent. So I guess he did, because I have this John guy calling me back, so I guess it's game on. I guess we're going to do this, right? Sometimes you get that response. Sometimes they actually will not play ball with you. You probably had this happen before, where you ask for the husband and the wife will say, well, like, I don't know anything about this, and you really would need to, John, you'd really need to speak to my husband. So sometimes they'll shut you down. They say, well, if my husband requested this or my wife requested this, you really need to speak to them. At that point, I'll say, okay, fantastic. How can I reach them? Makes sense, right? If they say, well, you need to speak to my spouse,
Sure.
You say, okay, what would be the best numbers to reach them at? And what you're really looking for is a cell number or a work number. So I specifically asked for that. I have your home number here, but could you give me your husband's cell number and his work number so I can reach him? In other words, don't tell me I got to speak to your husband and then not give me the information to be able to do so.
Yeah, great idea. Great idea.
Okay. So I found that it is quite productive sometimes actually not speaking to the spouse that made the request. You get a lot more information from the other spouse because they figure, okay, I guess we're doing this. I guess my spouse has contacted a realtor. Now, as far as the problem that you have, which is you're selling quite often a second home.
Correct.
There's somebody that's up north. If I was coming into Florida over the next couple of weeks, you're just going to book the buyer appointment at your office in Punta Gorda, just like you normally would if I was somebody that lived in the area.
Correct.
But in this case, it doesn't sound like I may be doing anything until Thanksgiving. So the appropriate action would be just to follow up with me. Now, when you get really good at this, you actually could call back tonight at 7 o'clock when husband and wife are there. You could do a webinar just like we're doing now, but you could be showing them the PowerPoint slides and the VIP buyer presentation, and then just email them the buyer agency agreement. Now,
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's been a question in the back of my mind if I couldn't exactly do that.
Well, look, we're creatures of habit, so we're used to only getting things signed when we're face-to-face with each other. But as we know, somebody could buy a home without actually physically being present. So if I was, let's say that I was down in Punta Gorda last week and I looked at a bunch of properties and I called you today and said, hey, John, house number 5 that you showed us, my wife and I want to buy it. Could you email me the offer and I can sign off? You could do that. So we do things long distance.
We do that every single day. We use something called Drop Loop.
Yeah,
and all
absolutely.
The forms are sent out. Yeah.
Well, I have a house in Sarasota. That's why I know your area so well. So that's how I bought it.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about upgrading your residence?
Yes, I like that. Now, actually, John, do you know that I bought my boat in Punta Gorda?
You're kidding me.
No, I bought it. World. Yeah, I bought it used. My boat still says Punta Gorda on the back of it because I'm too lazy to change it.
That's bad luck to change it anyhow.
That's true. So look, thanks for the role play here. I hope this was useful, but you got the right idea. When you get really confident with this buyer presentation, a lot of our resort area realtors become really good at doing the buyer presentation right over the phone like we're doing now, like doing it with a webinar. And what's the worst thing that could happen? Okay, so they say, no, I don't want to sign it. Well, you're no worse off than you are now. But if you could get lots of buyers up north, you see, this is the time to do it, right? Like here's how it works in Florida. nobody's in Florida right now from up north. They're all up north, but they're all thinking about in the next couple months, they're all going to start heading down there, which is a blessing and a curse, as you know, when you live there. If financially it's great, but the roads are a nightmare, restaurants are a nightmare, and you can't wait till the end of May when all the snowbirds go home. But anyway, I would be using this marketing to target people up north. So where do the buyers come from? That's where you want to advertise. So if you found out that you're getting a lot of buyers from Minnesota or Michigan or Massachusetts or from Canada, that's where you want to be running your ads. And you want to be offering lists of homes in Port Charlotte or Punta Gorda, wherever you work, and get as many of these buyers signed to a buyer agency agreement. So when they come back in October and November, you've got lots of them to work with that you know are committed to actually paying you for your efforts.
Well, thanks, Craig. I really appreciate the input, and your knowledge of the area certainly helped the call. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thank you for being part of the program. And let's actually we'll take a couple of questions here, a couple of chats, and then we'll take some more volunteers. See, we've got lots of volunteers. Okay. Well, the first one, Michelle was saying she was having technical difficulties. It's way better if you guys call in on a computer mic versus a telephone. I don't know what kind of change that GoToWebinar made, but they did something and the telephone doesn't seem to work as well anymore. They did a so-called upgrade, which means they put in VoIP lines and the telephone doesn't work as well. Okay, here's a question from Susie. Susie says, what do you suggest when a prospect rejects the buyer agreement? Well, Susie, you have two choices here. You can continue as is, and you can continue to spend time and send emails. So in John's case, he's not actually showing the buyer up north houses before they get down to Florida. He'd just be emailing them properties. But I guess each one of you are going to have to decide how much work or time you want to put into a buyer that's pretty much telling you, hey, just so you know, I'm not going to be loyal to you. Really what we're trying to sell the buyer is free. Like, it should be easy to get buyer agency agreements signed. A listing agreement, which we're all used to, we have no problem getting our heads around that, that should be the difficult part, right? James, if I come over to your house tonight, I got to convince you to pay me $30,000 in exchange for selling your home. So that should be harder than saying, hey, James, would it be okay if I sent you every day information on really good properties and run you around and show you properties, and when we find one that you like, negotiate that offer in your best interest? By the way, it's free. It doesn't cost anything, James, for me to run around and do all this stuff. Are you okay with that? Because the only thing that I would ask in return for all these free services is your loyalty. Now, personally, I would kind of have a problem with a buyer that says, well, I'll let you do all the free stuff. I'll let you email me every day all the properties and follow up on the phone and answer all my questions and present offers on my behalf. I like all that, but yeah, I really don't want to be loyal to you. Personally, I'd rather know that up front. It'd be like going to the altar with somebody that you know is going to cheat on you. Like, they're really just saying, look, I'm not committed to you, so like, don't marry me. I'm not really that committed to this relationship. The better you get at getting the buyers to commit to you in the form of a buyer agency agreement, your paradigm will change. You'll have less time for people that won't. Now, I'm not saying any of this happens overnight. Like, every one of you should at least try to get the buyers to sign a buyer agency agreement. If they say no, you can continue as is. You can continue to email them properties every day and run around and show them houses. You can still do that. But at the end of the day, if they're not loyal to you, well, at least, you can't really say I didn't know. Right? Don't be surprised. And this is an evolution. So many of you are just used to working with buyers the way it's always been done, right? Which is, you're a person that shows houses. That's what most realtors, that's their deal, is they send out information and they call buyers and they run around and they show buyers homes that most often they don't buy, or at least they don't buy from you. You can certainly continue to do that. I just think, we should run our buyer side of the business exactly the way we run our seller side of the business. Okay, that's enough on that topic. Mark Halst is asking, what do I say when I call to confirm appointments that are scheduled? Well, Mark, I never do call anybody to confirm the appointment unless the only exception is if I couldn't book that appointment really close to now. There's no need. If you do a really good job at the end of the phone call, so Mark, if I'm on the phone with you and I'm booking an appointment, today's Thursday, I'm going to try to book that appointment for later today or Friday, tomorrow, or Saturday. We want to book the appointment as close to now as possible. Then no reminder is necessary. If they absolutely can't meet me for a week or so, I might shoot them an email or call them, but make sure the email or the phone call to them reiterates the benefit of meeting. So let's say that I go through the universal callback script with you, Mark, and we set up an appointment for tomorrow at 7 p.m. at your home. Before we hang up, I'm going to reiterate the benefit. So it'll sound something like this. And Mark, when we get together tomorrow at 7 o'clock, I'm going to have a look at your home. I'm going to give you some advice on what to do and what not to do to prepare your home to sell it for the most amount of money. We can go through a net sheet to discover exactly what you're going to have left in your pocket after all costs. Of course, we'll do a detailed analysis of what your home is most likely to sell for. We could talk about timing and answer any of the other questions that you have. It's absolutely free of charge. You're never obligated to do anything. And Mark, if they're also a buyer, I would say, and when I'm at your home, we can also have a detailed discussion about exactly what you're looking for. So I can email you every day all the homes that perfectly match your criteria. And my list will include bank foreclosures, company-owned property, and distress sales. It's absolutely free of charge. You're never obligated to do anything. So looking forward to meeting you tomorrow, Mark, 7 p.m. at 123 Glenway Circle. Okay, take care. And if anything changes, give me a call. If I don't hear from you, I'll see you tomorrow at 7. That's how I wrap up a phone call. Always repeat the benefit. You and I, we know the benefit, but we got to make sure that it's very, very clear to them, because if they forget the benefit, they don't meet with us. How about this? If the appointment was to, when you met with them, you were going to give them 5 $100 bills. Everyone understands the value of $500 bills. Believe me, they would not miss the appointment if the understanding was when you get there, you're going to give them 5 crisp $100 bills. But what we're offering is more valuable than 5 crisp $100 bills. But if they don't understand the benefit, there is no value to them. Here's a question from John Lowe. We'll do a role play right after this one. John Lowe is asking, if I'm face-to-face with a buyer and they elect not to sign, what is a graceful way of saying, okay, I'm not willing to continue our relationship? It kind of seems awkward. Well, John, I think you just you've got to be truthful about your standards and let them know that you work with, spend time with clients, and unless you have an agency agreement with them, they're not a client, and it wouldn't be fair to the other clients that you do work with and represent. I think there's a graceful way of doing it. Basically, what you're politely saying is, I'm sorry, we're just not really a good fit. I respect your decision not to commit to me, but it's reciprocal. If you don't commit to me, unfortunately, I can't commit back to you the time, the resources, all the things that are important to get the best result. So you have to be really good at saying no sometimes. They're saying no to you first, John.
And the graceful, if you're looking for graceful wording, all you're going to say is this, well, you've got the information, and why don't you do this? Why don't you take some time and think about it? You know where I am. Here's my contact information. Please reach out to me at any time if you change your mind.
Yeah, and you're never going to hear from them again. How about this? How many of you have... That
makes it less awkward, though, to part.
So how many times have you guys had a buyer that takes your buyer agency agreement and they go, oh, okay, well, you know what, James? I just want to take this home and read it. I want to think about this overnight. I want to read this through. Answer is, you're never going to see them again. Here's a question from lovely Ellen Levy in the DC area. Ellen says, embarrassing question, but I spoke to a buyer a couple of weeks ago. He couldn't meet with me. He couldn't meet me at that time, and guess what? I dropped the ball. What should I say when I call him? I'd just be honest, Ellen. Just say, look, I dropped the ball. I was supposed to call you a few weeks ago, and it just popped into my memory. I think honesty is the best policy there. And, you know, maybe he's already committed to somebody, maybe he's not, but we're human. We forget things, right? You know, we write things down on pieces of paper and we misplace them. It happens. That's why we always want to make sure as soon as we get a new lead, that new lead gets into the contact management system, gets entered right away. What's our old saying around here, Mr. McDonald? If the lead is not entered into the contact management system,
it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. All right, we're going to do another role play, this time with James McDonald. So let's go back to Andrea. We'll see who's next.
We have Michelle Frazier, but I believe it's Fabio. I may have the name incorrect on the line. Fabian? Okay, Michelle Frazier, are you there? I know you had requested in the chat that you would like to get on. Okay, I'm not hearing anything back. We'll have to please check your audio, and we can get back with you. We have Bruce Graves. Your line is open.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. Thank you.
Good. What would you like to do this morning, Bruce?
I'd like to do a buyer's call.
Okay. And what was I? What did I request, or what was I doing for you to respond?
You requested a list of distressed sales.
And where did I see that ad?
On Facebook.
On Facebook. Okay, good. Okay, so ring. Hello.
Hello, is James McDonald there?
Yeah, this is James.
Hi, James. This is Bruce Graves at Keller Williams Realty in Palmdale. The reason why I'm calling is because I received your request for the information you wanted, and I'm going to send that to your email. Is that okay?
Was that what information?
Oh, you asked for information on distressed sales and foreclosures in the Antelope Valley?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you. And then you're going to email that to me?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and send that to your email. Are you folks planning on making a move in the next 3 to 6 months?
We're thinking about it. We're thinking about it.
Great. Do you currently rent or do you own your home?
No, we own.
Okay, great. Are you planning on staying in the area or moving out of the area?
I know we're looking in Palmdale. We're just looking for something with a little bit more space, a little bit more land.
Great. And do you have a realtor to help you when the time is right?
Not really. We have a couple of realtors that have sent us some properties, but that's about it.
All right, great. Well, would you like me to email you daily updates of homes that meet your particular home buying criteria from all the real estate companies? Our list includes any bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, or other distressed sales. It's a free service, and of course, you're never obligated to buy a home. Would that interest you?
Yeah. Is it this? So this is the list. Yeah. I'll take a look at the list as soon as I get on my computer.
Yeah. So the list I'm sending you is just kind of a snapshot, and but I can set you up with a daily update of homes that meet your custom search, and it would include, other properties, like properties that are not on the market yet, properties that are discounted, and would that interest you?
Sure. Yeah. You can send me those too.
Great. So when can we get together for about 20 minutes so I can take down exactly what you're looking for? Is mornings or afternoons better for you?
Probably evenings, actually. or late afternoon, but I'll talk to my wife. I better probably do that first, and then I can do that with you. But it probably afternoons would be better.
Probably afternoons. Okay. Well, Craig, you know that we're both real busy. So, how about we set a time for Thursday? Did you say Thursday afternoon? I have an opening at 3 or 5, and then if that doesn't work out with your wife, then you can give me a call. How's that sound?
Okay. Yeah, I will. I'll talk to her, and 5 o'clock should be fine. But I'll if it isn't, I'll let you know.
Okay, great. So remember that we're going to be going over a list of homes that meet your home buying criteria from all the real estate companies, and this is a specialized list that's going to give you great value. And so I look forward to meeting you, and we'll see you on. We'll see you actually today's Thursday, so we'll see you at 5 o'clock.
Okay. Couple things here. So again, just as with our other role play, when you make the introduction, you really want to make sure the prospect knows what you're talking about. Remember, the idea is in the introduction, who are you and why are you calling? So the more specific you can be, the more likely it is the prospect says, yes, thank you. I do recall. When you say, I'm calling because you wanted information, it could be about anything. So you can be more specific. You'll probably find you'll get a better response from the prospect. Okay, number 2, it is absolutely critical when you're making me the offer, the buyer offer, that you emphasize that the difference between what you're proposing now and the list that you sent is that it's every day. And I listened very, very carefully to your offer. This is what I do. I am critiquing your words. So I'm listening very intently for you to differentiate this offer and say to me every single day, you're going to receive an email with all of the properties that have just come on the market that match your specific criteria. I'm listening for that distinction, and you didn't say it. What you said was, would you like a list of homes? I'll include bank foreclosures, company-owned properties. In no way does that differentiate from the list that you've already sent. Now, I said, well, I'll just take a look at the list, but a lot of times the prospect would just decline, say, no, I'm good with the list that I have. And it's not because they don't want the offer, it's because they don't understand the offer. So be very careful of that. The offer that you're making to the prospect is so much better than the list that you've already emailed them. But they don't know that. You need to tell them that, and you need to tell them why. Okay, now, here's something else. I mentioned that we owned our home, and you should have probed a little bit on that. The question that I wanted to hear you ask was, would you prefer to look around and find your next home before you put your present home up for sale? Is that something you've considered? Because remember, if the more questions you ask, the more likely I am to elaborate on my intentions, which is helpful to you. So it isn't unlikely that you probably would have made the same offer that you did, but maybe I would have given some more insight, and that would have been helpful. So don't skip over some of the questions that might be relevant. Those are the things that I'd recommend. You did a very, very good job, and I'm just pointing out the few areas where you can make some improvements.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay, our next raised hand comes from Mark Holst. Your telephone line is open.
Hi, are you talking to me?
If you're logged in as Mark Holst, yes.
Yes. Okay, sorry. I thought so. I just didn't hear you say Mark Holst. Hi, it's Jackie Wetlaufer calling here. I wanted to do a buyer. Yep. Hi.
Hi, this is Craig Proctor.
Hi, Craig. I wanted to do a buyer offer.
Okay. I'll be your buyer.
Okay.
What kind of buyer am I?
You're going to be looking for properties with acreage, okay?
All right. So you're calling me, ring, ring, and I say hello.
Hi, is Craig there?
Speaking.
This is Jackie calling from Royal LePage. And the reason I'm calling you is because I received your request for information for properties with acreage you wanted, and it popped in the mail to you. Is that okay?
Yeah, you mailed it?
No, I emailed it. I just want to confirm your email address. I have craigproctor@gmail.com. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Excellent. Now, how are you doing today, Craig?
I'm kind of busy. Never asked that, by the way.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Now, are you folks planning on making a move in the next 3 to 6 months?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Excellent. Now, are you currently renting, or do you own your own home?
We own.
Do you?
We own.
Okay.
Yeah, we own. We're in a subdivision, and I hate people, so I want some land.
Absolutely, I can help you with that. Now, do you need to sell first, or are you purchasing first?
I think we want to purchase first because our market right now is very hot. I don't think we'll have any problem selling our home.
Absolutely.
In fact, it's so the market's so hot. I might even just try to sell it myself.
If you can do it, you go right ahead. Are you planning on staying in the area, or are you planning on moving out of the area?
I want to stay. I don't know. Tell me what area do I want to be in? What area to work in?
We are in Aylmer, Ontario, so we are in like the London area.
Okay.
Kind of London, St. Thomas area.
Yeah, somewhere in London. My daughter goes to Western, so we would like to be out that way. London, St. Thomas, somewhere in that area.
Absolutely, but the outskirts, of course, because you said you wanted some property, right?
Yeah, I want at least 2 acres.
Okay. Now, are you looking for a hobby farm or any buildings on it?
No, just a nice house on a lot. I don't want a busy street. I want trees and just some privacy.
So you want a mature property then?
Yeah, probably something that's 20 or 30 years old.
Yep. Oh, I was talking about trees, but yep, absolutely. Now, how many bedrooms are you looking for, Craig?
I don't know, 3 to 5 bedrooms.
Do you have a lot of kids, or you just have a lot of guests coming over all the time?
Well, I have 1 child at home, and who knows, I got 2 more that could come home at any time, so.
Shut 5. The door. Don't let them in.
That's why I'm going to move. I'm not going to forward my address.
Absolutely. Now, if you were to move, when do you think that might be?
We'd like to do something before the winter, something before December. So we've been actively looking around. We drove down to London a couple times, and we met an agent at an open house, and she's been emailing us properties and keeping in touch with us.
Now, are you 100% committed to that agent, or?
I don't know. She was really nice.
Okay, so you're not committed, so you're open to dealing with someone.
We haven't signed anything, but you seem nice as well.
Oh, thank you. Now, would you be okay if I followed up with, sorry, I didn't mean to go there. Now, what I can do for you is we have this VIP program, and what it does is it sends you daily emails of all the homes that match what you're looking for.
Don't mention the name of the program. That's something that we use internally. Like that doesn't mean anything to the. I would just. What is the benefit what do you think you want to do with me? So let's review where we are. Okay, I have actually driven. Okay, from Toronto to London. By the way, for everyone that doesn't know, that's a 2-hour drive, and I've been looking around at properties. That's a good sign, right? I have an agent that's sending me properties, but I haven't. I'm not 100% committed. Although I said that the agent's nice.
Right.
I want some land. I obviously like the area. I have a daughter that goes to Western, so I've got a reason to be in London. Okay, these are all good things. So what do you think you would like to do here in this situation? What's the appropriate action?
I absolutely want to meet with you, right?
Okay. Okay. Now, if you just said that, hey Craig, look, this is Jackie. I'd really like to meet with you so I can sign you to a contract because I need to make some money. That's not going to work.
No, I wouldn't say that. No.
I know. I'm exaggerating. So what's the benefit? What are you going to? We know what you want, which is the appointment and the commitment. But how are you going to get that meeting? Let me hear what you're going to say to me.
Okay. So, Craig, you've been down to London area. You've looked at a couple of properties then already?
Yep.
Okay. I would like to meet with you because what we can do for you is I can start putting daily emails together.
Stop there. You're talking now about the commitment before the benefit. Right? You're saying, I'd like to meet with you. Yeah, the commitment, you're saying, I'd like to meet with you because, and now you're going to start talking about the benefit. So you're doing it backwards. The cat is out of the bag now that whatever you're about to offer me requires a meeting with a real estate salesperson. So don't do it backwards. Talk about the benefit. The benefit is the list of difficult to find properties, of good deals. Start with that, and when I say yes, then and only then will you come back with, well, great, when can we get together so I can take down exactly what you're looking for?
Okay, so kind of go back to exactly where we were before.
Start with the benefit. The benefit is not meeting with you.
Okay, I'm still confused. Sorry, Craig.
Okay. So let me help you out. So what you want to say to me, okay, so I'm going to be you. I'd say, so Craig, you're looking in London. I understand you've got an agent that's been sending you properties, but I have a list of difficult to find properties representing some of the best deals in the London area. My list includes bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, distress sales, pre-MLS listings. These are homes that are not even on the MLS. Do you think you might be interested, it's free of charge, by the way, no obligation, do you think you might be interested in getting information on those kinds of properties as well? Now, if I say to you, well, gee, Jackie, that other agent, that nice lady in London, she's emailing me properties. Is your stuff going to be different than the information she's sending me? You would say, I'm not sure what the other agent's sending you. But my list includes, and you repeat it again, distress sales, company-owned properties, vacant homes, pre-MLS listings. Craig, would you like to get information on those as well? Now I'm thinking, well, I don't have to choose, right? Why limit myself? I still have that other lady in London, that other agent, she's emailing me properties, but Jackie, like her information sounds like kind of better than the other agent's listings. The biggest fear of the buyer is that I don't want to miss out on anything, so sure, yes, Jackie, I would love to have your list. Once I say yes, I want it, I basically opted in. Now you're free to come back with the commitment, which is the appointment. So let me hear, after I've said yes, I want your list, you pick it up.
Okay, so you want my list, right?
I do want your list.
Okay, thanks, Craig. Now, all we need to do is meet for about 15 minutes to take down your wants and needs. When is the best time to do that? Days, evenings, or weekends? Okay,
now here's the obvious question. Well, Jackie, why do we need to meet? Can't I just tell you what I'm looking for over the phone?
I knew you were going to do that to me.
This is real. This is exactly what they're going to say.
I know.
Now,
I'm sure you have a great understanding. Sorry.
Well, you're only going to have a problem with this if you're not well prepared. So let's understand. Everyone should be paying attention to this. This is the number one objection you're going to get. It makes sense if I'm a buyer, which is like, why the hell do I need to meet with you? We're on the phone now. I'll just tell you what I'm looking for. So you have to have an outstanding answer to that question. So let's hear it.
Okay. I'm sure you have a great understanding of what you want. I want to get that same great understanding of what you want. So I want to sit down with you and take the proper time to get a firm understanding of what you are looking for. So I don't waste your time by sending you homes that don't match your criteria, or worse, have you miss out on that great deal. It only takes 10, 15 minutes, and then we're on our way to finding you your next great home.
Okay. Not bad, but we can make it better. Okay. Let's start off with something really sincere. And by the way, you're talking too quickly, which makes it, when someone talks really quickly on the phone and they're a salesperson, I'm thinking they're following a script. So just slow it down, because you normally wouldn't talk that quickly, right? Here's how I would say it. I'd say, you know, Jackie, I really want to do a good job for you. If we can get together for about 15 or 20 minutes, I can take down in detail exactly what you're looking for, and that way I'd have the same great understanding that you have as to what you're looking for. And what that means is I wouldn't be emailing you dozens of homes that don't match what you're looking for, but most importantly, I wouldn't miss out on the perfect home. And by the way, everyone, that's the biggest fear the buyer has, is they're afraid they're going to miss out on something. That's why, Jackie, I'm willing to get this information from you as well as the other agent, because I'm terrified that I might miss out on something. Now, if I fight you on this, you could come back with a couple of examples. If I said something like, well, Jackie, I still don't see why, we can't just do this over the phone. Why don't you ask me the questions and I'll tell you what I'm looking. Okay, so you might say, well, look at buying a house. You might remind me, Craig, buying a house is kind of a big deal. I have whatever it is. How many fields are on your MLS in London? 72 fields. I'll just make it up. We have 72 fields. For example, Craig, would you be interested in a home that has aluminum wiring? Well, no, Jackie. Everyone knows those houses burn down. I don't want a house with aluminum wiring. Great. Well, that's something, that I would be asking you in this meeting. How about this? Would you be interested, Craig, in a home that's had formaldehyde insulation? Well, no, Jackie. That emits a gas that makes people sick. I would never be interested in a home that's had formaldehyde insulation. Would you be interested in a home that had an oil tank buried in the background? You know what I'm saying? You can shake their confidence, because you would, if I was to meet with you, sit down, and you would ask me all these questions. So you're not, in fact, sending me homes that I would not be interested in.
Right.
How about homes that back onto railroad tracks?
No.
Are you okay with homes that are a corner lot? Do you like busy streets?
Right.
You see, what we know is this. We know, as James McDonald famously says, every buyer eventually meets with a real estate agent unless they buy new construction or for sale by owner. So 98% of the buyers meet with an agent. Why not you? Why not meet with you? We also know the buyers are terrified of meeting with the salesperson, even though they know it's a good idea. I don't think that you requesting the meeting with the buyer is not a good idea for the buyer. It is a good idea for the buyer. So what you're suggesting here, this meeting with you, is not just a good idea for you. It's not just beneficial to you. It's actually beneficial to the buyer. So here we have a buyer that this week would take time off work to drive across town and get their teeth cleaned, but they won't come over and spend 15 minutes to meet with you about buying the biggest thing they buy in their whole life. So logically, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
So you're going to get better and better. Now, what I do like about you is your tonality and your enthusiasm. You got a very good phone. You got a very good phone voice. You're outgoing. You'll just need to internalize. So keep coming on these role plays. And
I've tried, but you know what? We just figured out to use a phone instead of the mic because we don't have a mic.
Okay, well, you got.
So I finally figured it out today. So
you got to get with 2016 and get yourself a computer mic. But look, thanks for volunteering. I hope this was helpful.
It was very much. I come on every week, so I pay attention very well.
All right, Jackie, keep up
the good work. Thank
you
so much, Craig. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
Craig,
let's see
before we
here.
move on, can we do a quick reminder for tomorrow's marketing clinic?
Only if it's quick.
I'm going to do it as quick as I can.
How quick can you be? Okay.
So tomorrow, as always on Friday mornings, we have our marketing clinic. We want you to get all your marketing, all your results, all the information you have, and upload it. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Everybody should already know, but everybody can use a reminder sometimes. Just go to Resources, Add Clinic. Go to the Upload My Ads portion, hit Select Files. You have to have it saved to your device. It needs to be a JPEG or a PNG file. If all you have is a PDF, we understand. You can email that to me at andrea@craigproctor.com, and I will confirm that it's been loaded for you. That's tomorrow at 11 o'clock Eastern.
All right. We got a couple more chat questions.
All right.
And we'll take a few of those. I guess we're running short on time. But we'll take a few chat questions. So let's see. Here's another chat question. You ready, James? From Kathy Powers. Kathy says, would it not make sense to ask them, I guess the buyer or prospect, if I could send them the names of some lenders to get pre-qualified, or when's the appropriate time? So here's how we do this, Kathy, just as a reminder, everybody. James, you're going to be my buyer, and I've used the universal callback script, and I have set an appointment to meet James tomorrow night. He's a first-time buyer, so that meeting's going to be at my office. Now, before I hang up the phone, I reiterate the benefit, like I mentioned earlier. So, James, when we get together, we're going to have a detailed discussion about exactly what you're looking for. That way, I'm going to be able to email you daily updates of all the homes that match your criteria, including bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, distress sales. It's absolutely free of charge and no obligation. In fact, James, you're going to leave my office with a list of hot properties. How about that one? It's immediate gratification, James. You're going to leave my office with a list of properties that match your criteria. Now, I wonder, James, have you been pre-qualified for financing?
No.
would it be okay if my lender, Bill, gave you a phone call tonight? Because he can get you pre-qualified absolutely free of charge for financing. And here's why it's important, James. If we get you pre-qualified for financing, understand we'll know exactly what price range you're in. So when we get together tomorrow at 7 o'clock, we won't waste time looking at homes above or below your price range. Also, my lender can get you access to the lowest interest rates and the lowest down payment home loans. And when you've been pre-qualified for financing, we can include those details in your offer to purchase, which means you are really negotiating from a stronger position. You carry a big stick when you're a pre-qualified buyer. So if you see a house you like and there's competing offers, it'll give you an advantage. Hopefully the seller will pick your offer, help you negotiate the lowest price possible. So if you're going to be home this evening, I'm going to hang up now. I'm going to call my lender, Bill, right away and have him give you a call. Like I said, about 15 minutes over the phone, and he'll be able to pre-qualify you. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Boom, I hang up with James. I call Bill. Hey, Bill, just talked to this guy, James. He lives with his parents in the basement. He says he works at IBM. He makes $80,000 a year. And says he's got a $30,000 down payment and he's interested in buying a home. I'm supposed to meet with him tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Can you give him a call, find out if he's for real, ask him a few questions, see if we can qualify this guy for financing, and give me a call back. So Bill says, okay. Bill calls James, and then Bill calls me back and says, okay, either James is good to go, he lives with his girlfriend, combined family income of $150,000, good credit history, no problem at all. They qualify up to X amount. Or Bill might call me back and say, look, probably not a good idea to meet James tomorrow because, while it is true that he lives in his parents' basement, he doesn't actually make what he said he made. He only works part-time and he makes $40,000 a year, and he's got some credit problems, and he's got a lien on his car, and I'm going to put him on a 6-month plan, and hopefully we can fix his credit issues. At which point I can call James back and gracefully get out of the appointment. Hey, James, Craig Proctor here. Look, I just talked to my lender, Bill. Sounds like you've got some credit issues, and Bill's going to put you on a 6-month plan, see if we can work that out so we can get you in a position where you can buy. But for now, we should postpone our appointment to meet. I'll follow up with you if that's okay over the next few months, and we'll set a time when we can get your financing in place. So now I gracefully get out of the appointment. Why do we do it that way? Because doing what we're taught is dumb. Here's what we're taught to do as realtors. As soon as I get a buyer on the phone, so James, you're my buyer, a sign call or ag call, right away what we've been trained to do is ask some pretty hard questions. What do you call those questions, James? You have a word for it. Intrusive. I like that, intrusive. That's what we've been taught to do. So if James is an ad call, a sign call, in other words, he doesn't know me, the first interaction with most realtors goes like this. So James, what's your credit history like?
Fine.
What's your combined family income? Are you self-employed? Do you work for somebody? Like you wouldn't. Yeah, right. Okay. You wouldn't go to a party. You wouldn't go to a party and ask people that. Yeah. Could you imagine showing up at a social event and you meet somebody for the first time? Hey, James, so you're driving a pretty nice car there. What do you and your wife make? Get a mortgage on your house? Is it free and clear? How much money do you have in the bank? Like, it's just weird how we're taught to interact with strangers. So we don't do it that way. We use the universal callback script. We offer benefits first. Okay, we look at those offers for buyers and sellers. We offer the benefit. We get the appointment. Once we have the appointment set, now we can see if they've been pre-qualified for financing. And if not, I'm sure you all have a lender that would be happy to pick up the phone and call that buyer to check into their financing to see if this is a buyer we can actually help. And if not, you can gracefully get rid of the appointment. That's just the smart way to do it. All right, let's see what other questions we have. This is from Bob. Bob says, hey, Craig, instead of a newsletter, could we send out our Board of Realtor Statistics monthly data sheet? Yeah, you could do that. But you want to personalize it with a cover letter. I still like the newsletter, Bob. But what would be really good is send both your newsletter and statistics from the real estate board all included in one mailing in an envelope that's hand addressed with a real live stamp so it looks like a letter that they might receive from Aunt Lucy. Okay, let's see what else we have here. This is from Mike Boychuk. I had a seller whose timing was 30 days from listing, but wanted to meet with me the following week, but I put her off. Did I do the right thing? Yeah, that's a hard call, Mike, when you're within a couple of weeks. Here's the questions I would ask, because I know you're a good salesperson. Is there anything holding back this seller from listing now? So if they had a real reason why they couldn't list their home for 4 weeks, I probably wouldn't push it. So they might say, if they're being transferred, they might say, well, I haven't got the green light from work. I'm supposed to get, the green light, the news from work in 4 weeks. Well, there's no sense going and meeting with them before they actually know they're going to move. They're going through a divorce. Well, the lawyers are working this out. It's going to court in 3 weeks, and we're going to have an answer then. Well, probably nothing's going to happen before 3 weeks. But if they don't have a real concrete reason as to why they're making the move, you might want to push in there. Okay, so Mike just replied they're building a new home. Well, if they're building a new construction, why couldn't they list their home now or a week from now? So that's a tough one. I would probably err on the side of caution and push for the meeting now, Mike. It's not a situation where you're meeting with them now and they can't list their home for 6 months, so whatever price you give them now will be irrelevant. Yeah, that's in the gray area. I'd probably try to get in now, or how about this? If they're not going to do anything for 4 weeks, at least book the appointment, maybe for a week from today or in 2 weeks. But I would try to get an appointment. If you know they don't have a realtor, they're motivated to move, and it's within a couple weeks. That's what we call within shooting distance. Okay, we're going to wrap this up. Final thoughts from Mr. McDonald.
Tomorrow is our ad clinic, as you well know. So our very first role play volunteer this morning was talking about the quality of prospects in terms of price point. So that's something that we'll talk about tomorrow, is that we can try to encourage, based on what information we're offering, the kind of prospect that we're looking to attract. But no matter how hard we try, if our prospects that we're trying to attract aren't looking where we're running our ads, we cannot hope to attract them. So that's something else we've got to look at. It's not just the message that's important, it's also the medium where we actually run the ad. So I'm glad that they brought that up, because that's something that we'll definitely address on tomorrow's ad clinic session.
Yeah, so submit your ads. Andrea and I will pick the best of the best. James, you're going to be with us tomorrow as well, right?
I will.
What's a perfect trifecta? All three of us will be with you folks tomorrow. So submit your ads. We will critique them. We will praise those of you that are marketing geniuses, and we'll try to give helpful advice to everyone. But we praise all of you for sending your ads, and we do encourage that. And please mark that in your calendar tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. That's 8 a.m. on the East Coast for the ad clinic. We're out of time for today, folks. Hope you enjoyed the role play. We'll talk to everybody in the morning. Take care.